It cannot be denied that most recent news sent GW2 community into literal rampage, but things cannot be that bad. I looked at things closer, analyzed them further, and oh boy, I have hot takes! But let's get cold ones out of the way first. Mirage's ability to dodge while CC'd and immobilized is being removed, and in return he gets his second dodge privilege reinstated. Everyone but few Mirage Wondricks agreed that this is a good change. The Mirage dodge currently rewards bad play more than a good play. And I'm not saying that because I dislike Mesmer, I'm saying that because that is objective truth. Having one dodge makes dodging preemptively insanely risky, as you won't have backup dodge if you screw up your dodge. Furthermore, if you can dodge while CC'd, it means you can use dodge reactively, effectively making your dodge a proto-stun break. Therefore, it is more efficient to use dodge when you are already CC'd or immobilized than to try and avoid CC and risk burning your dodge for nothing. Playing Mirage optimally is face tanking CC and dodging after, which builds and reinforces bad habits and muscle memory that will get you killed on any other class or elite spec. After the patch, playing Mirage will reinforce the same preemptive use of dodge that is standard across the board, and by playing Mirage, you won't hinder your ability to play any other 26 elite specs. Going forward, Bladesong Requiem losing its block seems odd at a glance, as said skill does little to no damage and doesn't do anything else. Without block in place, this skill is literally press F5 to get fucked. My guess is that ANET planned to increase the skill's damage exponentially, and just forgot to put that in the patch notes. As a sustained damage option, Requiem could work, perhaps scaling its damage with blades spent. However, no compensation buff was mentioned in patch notes, and as it stands, this skill will become literally useless.
Know your fucking place, trash!
Mechanist's mechanical genius change is probably furthest away from achieving what it was meant to achieve. Main design flaw of Mechanist is that it can participate in combat without player participating in combat. In short, player can do this. And therefore ANET aimed to make some changes that would encourage players to actively participate in dropping some poor wankers down the Grand Vent. However, punishing the player based on range from the mech isn't going to cut it. Firstly, because mech skills can be put on autocast, it alone contributes sufficient DPS, so in PvE, player is only required to use WSAD and sometimes spacebar to clear most content. Meanwhile, in competitive modes, only thing player is expected to do is preventing his own demise, as mech autonomically pressures foes in sight, which severely drops the skill floor of the spec. On top of which, it is simple psychology to understand that players don't open the game to be sneakily punished. Encouragement is the king of persuasion, and what we are trying to do is persuade Mechanist players to actively participate in their Golem's Wpierdol party. How I would do that is by making Mechanical Genius make your all weapon skills apply to all targets unique effect, which would make Golem deal 20% more damage and have 20% more condition duration against affected enemies. Each weapon skill would have separate cooldown for that effect. To compensate, Golem's base damage would be reduced to 65-70% of its current value, so that final damage of the Golem figures between 65 with no stacks and 140% of current DPS with full stacks. That way, not only Mechanist himself would be rewarded for hitting the opponent, he would be also encouraged to use multiple of his weapon skills rather than letting autocast do all the work. Also, this way, in PvP, Mechanist would be less of an issue for Bronze-Silver players and maybe would become playable in higher rank lobbies. Next is Warrior's Hit the Soul, which used to grant cooldown reduction to thought skills and condition damage. Why is it specifically transferred onto quickness? It's impossible for me to understand, as how it stands in the patch notes, nothing prevents Quickzerker from taking Bloody Roar and dealing big power damage. On top of which, quickness being tied to burst skills is rather absurd. Not only Warrior needs enemy target to hit for its bursts, but also cooldowns of burst skills aren't created equal. One skill specifically, Axe Primal Burst Decapitate, has special interaction, where if it hits any target, it doesn't go on cooldown at all. Therefore, only limit to how often you can cast Decapitate is speed at which you can generate adrenaline. with Axe Mastery and Rage skills, you can easily generate enough adrenaline to cast Decapitate every 2 seconds while upkeeping Rage permanently. Therefore, if Quickness on Hit the Soul doesn't have internal cooldown, it will be absurdly broken on Axe Warrior, allowing him to upkeep Quickness in full Berserker gear. Therefore, PvE meta will get drastically shifted towards dominance of Alak supports and Quickzerkers, as that will become highest DPS team comp due to technically having 8th DPS geared players. Not to mention sacrilegious treatment of Torch, which isn't even that good to begin with. I already made a video of my idea of Quickness Berserker. I won't repeat myself unnecessarily, let's move along. Scourge wasn't played much, even before the dreaded patch threatened to nerf him, and I have no bloody idea why.
Necromancer is very bad at filling a low hit point bar, but they're the best in the game at getting people that are downstate back up. Like a good Necro in your group is considered to be training wheels.
We're just gonna die here, dude. We're not doing the mechanic. Like, this is bad. I need barrier right now. Okay, good. The good news is I actually survived, right? Oh, there we go. There we are, team. Good shit.
If you bring that style of a build in the raid and no one ever goes down, it doesn't do anything. On the flip side, I have had raids where we killed Bone Skinner, where I had 95 to 100 revives. That means that any other group would have wiped there 10 times.
Oh, there we killed that one. I need to barrier up here because this is gonna fucking hurt. Holy shit. Right, barrier, yeah, there we go. Transfuse, res. Heal Scourge is balanced, by the way, guys. Yeah, you know, some people say this build is bad, right? Does it look bad to you guys? I mean, it's looking pretty good.
The Transfusion, Ritual of Life and Well of Blood combo was incredibly potent tool. To paint better picture of how powerful this combo was, let's look at similar examples in other classes. Druid's Glyph of Stars is 48 seconds long cooldown and requires you to be in celestial pyjamas to access its revival power. Warrior's Battle Standard has 120 seconds of cooldown. Both of these occupy elite slot and neither of them can revive 2 people that are further than 720 units away from each other. Meanwhile, Necromancer could not only gather all the people from area within 600 unit radius, therefore reviving people up to 1200 units away from each other, he had his powerful revive on 30 seconds cooldown. I am all hands on deck against removing Necromancer's revival potential, even to say that Necro should remain best of the best in that category. However, I physically cannot deny that Necromancer's power in that regard is far too much for the health of the game. By simply reviving, Scourge can carry entire raid groups, and he has also barrier and healing on top of its revival potential. Not to mention, every Necromancer can utilize Transfusion Ritual of Blood combo. Therefore, if Necromancers only choose to, they can absolutely break the game at any given moment by creating a team comp that is physically incapable of losing. Still, this is not fair to absolutely murder something without any compensation or at least explanation, and neither was provided by the developers. The most important thing to do would be to not release a sliver of nerfs to already unpopular spec without at least explaining precisely why are we nerfing it and how broken it was. There are like 12 people on the planet that know how broken pre-patch Scourge is, and even I didn't comprehend it fully until today. Drown me for it, but I'll say it. ANET, you need to step up your game in terms of communication with the audience. You almost killed Scourge by treating him correctly due to your inability to show people basic facts. As much as Necro changes were 100% an unapologetic ballsack slapper 3000. Scourge will be fine. Entire fuck up it has begins and ends in his PR department. Crabface out.